Week 6 Q&A. Let's discuss, man.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? This is the third installment of our Saturday Q&As. Let's wait for a couple more people to get in here. Mizaki, of course. It's on. You'll get your 5 minutes here. And talk about some defense, talk about the team in general. Diana Rossini had some interesting tidbits that she got from coaches, GMs around the league pertaining to the fine that Jonathan Gannon got. So we'll talk about that a bit too. But if you haven't been to one of these before, this is very open forum. I don't really have a sort of agenda outside of talking about the game tomorrow, answering questions. So if you've got some questions, drop them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. So apparently I have to fulfill on something for, of the thousands of subscribers we have. There's one person who feels left out, and I promised something 2 days ago that I didn't fulfill on. I promised something yesterday that I didn't fulfill on because the Kyler Murray got hurt. So I chose precedence over the defense when it comes to the conversation I promised to have. So here's what I'll say about the defense. Okay. The defense, Mina Kimes put this tweet out, this was part of her, the Mina Kimes show. Dominique Foxworth was the guest, and she said the Cardinals defensive EPA through the first 3 quarters of games is first in the NFL. First through the first 3 quarters of games. And then they're 27th in the fourth quarter. And when you look at it, it's like, well, that means that Nick Rowlis and the defensive players aren't doing their job. If you look at numbers like that. Unfortunately, for those who think that way, I see the complete opposite. And when you see a massive drop-off like that in efficiency by one side of the ball, you got to think, well, why? I mean, do they just forget how to play football in the fourth quarter? Are they just tired? Maybe they need to run more wind sprints? No. The offense doesn't do anything in the second half of games, aside from the game in Seattle, where they took the first 3 quarters off. So the fact that they showed up was very nice of them. When the offense can't stay on the field and you're heading into the fourth quarter and you've played 3 quarters of a game so far, yes, human beings get tired. Yeah, you get tired. And I will say, game script also has something to do with this, and this is where the excuse that people think it is comes in, and I completely agree. Game script should not be an excuse for production. It shouldn't be. So, this is what I'm talking about. Offense has won the top battle. It's the defense screwing the pooch, not the excuses you've made. The offensive lack of production in the fourth quarter yields bad production by the defense. It's pretty straightforward. And if you look at games outside of the Seattle game, the Cardinals have taken the second half of the third quarter through the rest of the game off for the entirety of the season. They had 21 points with 8 minutes left in the second quarter against Tennessee and didn't score again. So if you're not scoring again, that means you're not having sustained drives, which means the defense is on the field more, which means they're going to get tired, which means they're going to give up more points. And I know the Amari DiMercato run allows me to prove that point. It yields that. That was a, third and short that he broke. The Arizona Cardinals hasn't been defense. It hasn't been. The Arizona Cardinals offense has been non-existent in the second half of games. That's just factual. Outside of the Seattle game where the fact that the defense held Seattle to only 20 points when the offense was so bad in the first 3 quarters is insane. So when we're going back and forth on the whodunit and why the Cardinals are where they are, the offense is, if we're going to do blame pie, the offense has significantly more of the blame pie than the defense. So again, for those that are just joining, drop your questions if you have any. This is kind of just an open forum thing, kind of playing around with format. I just want to chill and hang out for half an hour and, figure that through the football season, there should be content every day. So I kind of want to make this, something that you can guide a little bit more than what I do on a day-to-day basis. Diana Rossini, let me get the exact quote. So Diana Rossini got some little clips from coaches around the league, and she's tweeted out about them this morning. So her tweet is, Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell fined head coach Jonathan Gannon for a sideline confrontation with Amari DiMercato. I asked the league for their reaction. One of the quotes from an NFC head coach said, "It was a meltdown. He's a first-time head coach, felt helpless. I don't think they needed to fine him." An AMC assistant to Diana Rossini said, quote, "You can't push a player like that. That's garbage." And then another quote from an unnamed source, or for an unnamed interviewee, quote, "If you're going to fine him $100,000 because you feel that strongly, then just fire him." What I've said all week after he was fined was, this is Michael Bidwell making it about him. This is Michael Bidwell not being the guy with the ice pick cracking the foundation in a sheet of ice. For those that live in Arizona, all Michael Bidwell did was, he was the little rock that hits your windshield with that little crack in the lower right-hand corner, and you don't know if you can use one of those companies that replaces it for free and gives you $250 or whatever because it's so small. That's what Michael Bidwell did. It's not a fracture. It's not it's not a, oh no, the world is burning, but he made it about him. The fine was, I know what to do. I've done this before. I know what the right thing is. Look at all my trophies. Like, the delusion of Michael Bidwell is real. So regardless of if you think that what Jonathan Gannon did was right or wrong, I don't think anybody said it was right. It's degrees of wrong. And what a coach is to do to light up a player on the sideline after they had an unforgivable mistake made. Michael Bidwell made this about him. And that's why the fine happened. It was the homework clause in Kyler Murray's contract of fines. It's like, nope, I know what's right. Look at all my trophies. Look at all my trophies. Look at all the things I've accomplished. Oh, wait. Yeah, I run my organization like I know what I'm doing, but when in fact everybody's laughing at you. So that's that. And I will get to the starting quarterback tomorrow, because we're gonna have some potentially interesting conversations after Sunday. The fine thing was just a joke. Yeah. So this was, and Zach, I think, saw the quote. It was another one, a rival exec to Diana Rossini. The owner cut his balls off in front of this entire team. Michael Bidwell, it's about me, man. It's about me. I don't care. I'm going to do the right thing because I know what the right thing is, because I've done that forever. Hey, how are the casitas doing? I think the Cardinals became doomed once they missed the opportunity to call them Cardcitas. I think that's where the downfall started. And I will die on that hill. So where the Cardinals are now, going into week 6, is the best case of a terrible situation. I mean, they've lost by a combined 5 points in the last 3 weeks, and they should be 4-1. So bad teams find ways to lose. I'm not saying the Cardinals are a terrible team. Look at how much bad football there is being played. But the Cardinals are either the best bad team or the worst average to slightly above average team. They're the best bad team, or they're the worst slightly above average team. So if you told me, and I predicted the Cardinals to win in Indy on Sunday, if you told me the Cardinals win somewhat convincingly in Indianapolis, Why would you be surprised? Like, even though the Cardinals offense has been bad and the defense has been bad down the stretch in games, they've been in every game. They've been in every game. I think what puts more weight on this is you couldn't even enjoy the wins. You couldn't enjoy New Orleans. You couldn't enjoy Carolina because they got up and then they just completely turned the motor off and just hoped that the other team would take a nap for a second half so the Cardinals could just run the clock out. Well, they were, having nap time with those blue mats that I had when I was growing up in elementary school under a desk. That's what they hoped they would be doing. And unfortunately, that didn't happen because they're professional athletes. So going into Indy's on the rise atop the AFC. The Cardinals are plummeting in front of our very eyes with 3 walk-off losses in the last 3 weeks, 2 of which shouldn't even have come close to happening. And now you're going into a very difficult environment with a well-oiled machine and the best running back in football this year. We will get to the quarterback talk in the second. I'll do 30 minutes here. I'm going to do a couple live ad reads in a couple minutes here and then do 15 minutes flat out on Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett and what it could mean. I did crossover Thursday with Jake Arthur from Locked On Colts, and he said something very interesting to me, which I've kind of seen, but he solidified it, and I didn't know it was this different. I didn't know it was this ironclad. In the first half, they get Daniel Jones involved, throwing the ball more, and then in the second half, they just hammer you with Jonathan Taylor. And that's not great with how the Cardinals defense is held up late in games. So to combat that, obviously, the offense is not completely sleepwalking through 3 quarters like we saw 2 weeks ago. You want to see more of what they did to Carolina and Tennessee early on, and then actually have sustained drives that end in points that allow the defense to be opportunistic and to not be, the heavy bend, don't break to save the offense kind of defensive schemes like we've seen down the stretch. But that kind of terrifies me a little bit, that Jonathan Taylor just gets stronger down the stretch. He just gets stronger. With all that said, if you told me they went to Indy and got a win, I wouldn't. This isn't something where the Cardinals are a just bad team with no offense and no defense and no good players, and they're completely rebuilding. This isn't that. That's why it's so frustrating. Will Johnson's healthy. Max Melton's going to be healthy. He's going to be out there. All the safeties are going to be out there. They've got their backers. Darius Robinson's going to miss another game. Who knows what the hell's going on with that? Walter Nolan was seen at practice on the sidelines, which is a good sign because the window opens up soon. All the Cardinals need to do is hold on. Like, you just can't go to 2-5 going into your bye because your season's over. They've got the toughest strength of schedule for the rest of the year. And a lot of that has to do with the Colts being good, with Green Bay being better than advertised, better than initially thought, trading for Micah Parsons, bolstering that defense. The Rams being really good, they got to play them twice. Seahawks being really good, they have to play them again. They've got to play the 49ers again, even though they're losing players left and right. They're just winning games. The Cardinals must win 1 out of the next 2. They must. And before I take a quick break here, I can't believe that we're here now already in week 6. But those games, like, I always go to NBA games. I don't know why. NBA basketball is my first love, so I think it's just what my brain goes to. But when teams are down 3-0 and they've got a home game and they just come out lights out and they blow out the other team and they win convincingly because they know that their backs are against the wall. If the Cardinals don't have that urgency on Sunday, it's going to be a lost cause moving forward. If they lose and they show no fight, okay. So if they lose and it's off a field goal again and it's it's in the 30s or in the 20s and the team is going back and forth and the Cardinals offense and defenses, they're playing really well and it's a well thought out battle and they lose by a field goal, okay? If they lose, 24-3 or 24-10 and the offense looks terrible and nobody there's no real fight and there's no real urgency, that is a telltale sign that the locker room is lost. You can have the best culture in the world, but if the coaching doesn't come along with it in key spots, it doesn't matter. So while regardless of the outcome of this season, the Arizona Cardinals organization has taken leaps and bounds from where they were to where they are now, culture-wise and roster-wise. But if the coaching's not there, it doesn't matter. If the leadership isn't there, it doesn't matter. So we'll find out. Kyler Murray or Jacoby Brissett on Sunday. I will tackle that as well as one other thing that the Cardinals must do if they want to win in Indy. We'll discuss it. After I can, right after, yeah. This episode of Week 6 Q&A on Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts at your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, which is so important. Like, you're doing a project, you need materials, you need them tomorrow. You can't put things off a week. Supply House helps you out. While their industry-leading customer service always has your blindside covered. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right. So, oh, man. So Kyler Murray was back at practice on Friday, but he was rolling with the twos. Jacoby Brissett took the majority of first-team snaps. This can mean a couple different things. One, they're going to roll Kyler Murray out at 75 or 80% and see if he can go. And if he can't, Jacoby will jump in midstream. And he's had all the reps with the first team with the game plan for this week and this game for this week. Or Kyler ain't playing. And I know those are obviously the two options. Either he's going to play or he's not. And Jacoby will start if he doesn't. But it'll be fascinating to see if they try with Kyler and if they'll try with him and see if it works or not. I feel like that's a poor plan. Either go into it expecting Kyler Murray to play and him being healthy enough to play, or you sit him. And I tweeted out, I will clarify for, the people in here, I tweeted out that if Kyler Murray doesn't play this week, it'll be a bad look for him. And I don't mean that people should play through injury if they're 100% not healthy enough to play. That's not what I meant. And it's also not what I think. But the outside optics could look like, well, he's given up on his team when a game they got to win. And this goes back to him, the question about him being soft or whatever, and him throwing the ball away or going down or whatever before getting contact. And then you see the other side where he got absolutely lambasted by a Jets defender last year, and he got up and laughed and he goes, let's rip. It'll be fascinating to see who starts, obviously. It's the most important thing. I wonder if we'll know today or if we're going to know first thing tomorrow. They've got to know at this point. I mean, injury reports don't have to come out for an hour and a half before games, the final report on who's playing and who's not, actives, inactives. But there's a couple things that are positives regardless. Will Hernandez is healthy. I think I saw that in the chat. Yeah, Will Hernandez. This is, if you've listened to Locked On Cardinals at all this offseason, I'm once they re-sign Will Hernandez, which was always the case, he's got to start the second he's healthy. He played half the snaps last week, I believe, or close to it. Yeah, Isaiah Adams got to get out of there. He's not the guy. And I know that people championed him during camp because they had no other option. The optics, Will Hernandez makes this offensive line better. Now, it'll be fascinating to see if you see more Kelvin Beachum because Jonah Williams has struggled this year. The best offensive line the Arizona Cardinals have is Paris Johnson, I guess Evan Brown at left guard because they don't have many options. I mean, John Gaines is fine, but Evan Brown's been fine. He'll be healthy. Yalta Froholt, Will Hernandez, and Kelvin Beachum at right tackle. That's the best collection of talent the Arizona Cardinals have on the offensive line. So we'll see if they use Beach more. We'll see if they use Big Fundamental more because Jonah Williams has really struggled. There's a couple different outcomes. Say Jacoby Brissett starts, okay? And the Cardinals lose, and the offense just doesn't look good. And obviously, Kyler Murray's the better option, even though Jacoby Brissett's been great for many years as a backup and a spot start guy. He was the starter. For those who don't remember, he started, I think, the entirety of the season when Andrew Luck retired. He was in Indy. He had gone from New England to Indy. And then I think he backed up Phillip Rivers. He was there for a few years, so he knows Lucas Oil Stadium. But if it looks not great, then you're like, all right, well, Kyler Murray's the best option. You just got to hope that he can come back and they can beat Green Bay and then go to 3-4 going into their bye week. Or the other thing happens. The thing that people have joked about, that people have kind of razzed about. I've gotten so many texts and DMs about this specifically. What if Jacoby Brissett starts and the Cardinals put up a 30-burger and the offense looks amazing? What if? And this isn't one where it's like, oh, throw Clayton Tune out there and it's gonna be like a Disney movie where a dude's been a backup his whole life and he gets his chance and then he's a Hall of Famer. Like, Jacoby Brissett is a real quarterback in this league. That's the reason why they brought him over, because nowadays, if you don't have two able quarterbacks, you're behind the curve. It's not anymore, oh, the backup quarterback is the most loved player on the team, is the best position on the team. Quarterbacks, and I don't know if this is real or if this is recency bias or if this is my brain playing a trick on me. Over the last 7 years, 5 years, 3 years really, we're seeing so many quarterback injuries. So many. And I think it's pronounced because, Lamar Jackson has missed time. Joe Burrow doesn't play football. Like, he's hurt every year. It seems like he wasn't hurt last year. He was hurt every year for extended periods of time. So maybe it's because the quarterbacks who get hurt are towards the upper echelon of elite. So it's pronounced more, maybe. I mean, Aaron Rodgers missed. It was a long time ago, but I mean, besides his Achilles with the Jets, like, he had a collarbone, I think, that kept him out for a year. But like, Phillip Rivers played every game. Matt Ryan played every game. Andy Dalton played every game. Joe Flacco played every game. Like, the generation before this, they just played. They played through everything. And I'm not saying that this generation of quarterback is weak by any stretch. I'm saying the injuries that they're sustaining are different. And things you can't play during, like turf toe and stuff. But if Jacoby Brissett comes out and he balls out, and Marv has 7 for 130 and a touchdown, and Trey has 7 for 90 and a touchdown, and the offense looks like it's humming, like, are we going to have a conversation? Are we going to have a conversation? Richard, I'll get to that in just a sec. Are we going to have a conversation if Jacoby Brissett starts and this offense looks the way you wanted it to look like on paper going into the season? And again, this isn't some, NAIA quarterback who came in and just was like, oh, they have to elevate him for the practice squad, because no. This is a dude who can huck it. This is a dude who's played many meaningful snaps. He's a Super Bowl winner. I mean, it was with Tom Brady, but he started games when I think he started one of the games they went 4-0 because Jimmy G got hurt in week 2 or week 3 that year. That was the year that they beat the Cardinals in week 1 in 2016, the late Monday Night Football game on a Chandler Catanzaro missed field goal, and then Jimmy G comes down and they win the game. And then Bruce Arians said they never got back from it the entire year. Sweet. Like, if Jacoby Brissett starts and the Arizona Cardinals win and score a lot of points, I think the conversation will be had. Now, the problem is when Kyler Murray's healthy, he's going to start. So this is what happens. It's like a fantasy football world. These are real people. So it's like, okay. So for me, Tyreek Hill, I had Tyreek Hill. He had that knee injury. He went down. Now I'm starting like Keon Coleman, and I dropped Emeka Egbuka. It's like you're having different conversations on what makes your roster look best, okay? Or let's say, so I have Chase Brown in a league. I'm starting Rachaad White over Chase Brown because the Bengals offense is so bad. So think of it this way. Say Jacoby Brissett, say they put up 28 points and the offense looks really good and they get a win, okay? You got to have the conversation on, is he the best option right now? Because if you don't, and you throw Kyler Murray out there, and maybe he's 90%, but he's your starting quarterback, and you pay him a whole bunch of money, and they lose to Green Bay by 20, and then you're 3-5 anyways. It's like, well, why didn't you just do the thing that people saw? Why didn't you just do the thing that people saw? Now, chances of that happening are, infinitesimally small. But if it happens, imagine of course it's going to, the brain melting nature. Like, I was more excited going into the season than any of the 8 seasons previous that I hosted the show. Okay. I was more excited, obviously, because there was more opportunity for success. There was actual expectations, everything lined up. My brain hasn't rested since the end of week 1 when the Saints had a chance to win the game at the end. Like, everything has been brain melting. Everything. So why not throw something else in? Jacoby Brissett starts, they put up a 30-burger, and the defense does their job. They win 30-17. It's like, who do you start in week 7? If that happens, and I reserve the right to change whatever I'm about to say, if that happens, I'm seriously looking at Jacoby Brissett to start against Green Bay. Truly. Because, and let me explain why, because if they put together 4 competent quarters of football in a row on the road in a save the season win-loss record game, and Jacoby Brissett does that, and Kyler Murray hasn't been able to do that, I'm starting Jacoby Brissett in week 7. But the chances of that happening are small. The chances of that happening are small. So I'm not gonna, say clickbait crap it's not what I do. It will be fascinating to see what they do and who starts. Kyler Murray taking reps with the 2s could mean one of 2 things. He's starting, and if he's not and if he's hurt and he can't go on, Jacoby Brissett will be ready, and he will have been implemented into the game plan, taking reps with the 1s. Or that was one final test to see if he could go, and most likely Jacoby Brissett's going to start. At this point, I just want the best quarterback on the field. I don't care who it is. Will Jonathan Gannon get fired if they lose? I think that was Richard, right? Did JG get fired if the Cardinals lose? The only way that this would happen, so 90% no, 95% no. The only way this happens is if they look completely ill-prepared for the biggest game of the season and they lose in embarrassing fashion. They go down 21-3. The offense can't stay on the field. The defense gets tired early, and then there's no fight. There's no dog. Like, the defense will have fight always. The defense has been the safe space for this team for first 3 quarters at least. The only way Jonathan Gannon gets fired is if the Arizona Cardinals absolutely do not show up. And I still, at that point, don't think he'd go. Because if you fire a head coach in week 6, that is a wrap for the season. That means, why not just trade Kyler Murray at that point? Why not completely start over offensively? You know what? Nick Rowles is going to take over as head coach for the rest of the year? That is punting so much earlier than Michael Bidwell ever would. Think of Michael Bidwell as Jerry Jones. Think of Michael Bidwell as Jerry Jones without the rings. It's about him. He does it his way. And regardless of how fractured it looks, he does it his way. And one thing that Jerry Jones doesn't do is give up on players that he drafted outside of, I guess, Micah Parsons, because Micah just said, I'm not coming. Trade me. He extended Cliff and Kime after the 2021 season when they were still under contract for 2022 for 4 years. The dude doesn't get it. So that's got Jonathan Gannon going for him. I don't think that they fire him. I think that is a grave decision to make when you're not even halfway through a season. And they've shown a lot of great this year. A lot is loose. They've shown some great this year. There are significant amount of teams that haven't done that. And the difference is coaching. And the difference is the offense not looking terrible. And I don't know if that's Kyler Murray, if that's Drew Petzing, or whatever it is. I don't know. Nobody knows. Come on. Like, oh, it's Kyler because of this. Oh, it's Drew because of this. Nobody knows. But there's something off. And on Sunday, if Kyler Murray does play, like the best case scenario for the Cardinals on Sunday, Kyler Murray plays, he's 90%, he's healthy enough, and the Cardinals win. That's the best. I mean, just wrapping this all, obviously, that's the best case scenario here. Kyler Murray plays, the Cardinals win, the offense puts up 25 plus points, and you come back home with all the momentum in the world, erasing last week's loss. A win this week erases last week's loss. All of the bad taste in the mouth. You already forget about Seattle. Like, this is one of the best teams in the AFC through 5 weeks, with the best running back in football through 5 weeks, with Tyler Warren and Michael Pittman and a good defense, DeForest Buckner and Latu. Like, this team is legitimate. So the best case scenario is the Cardinals get a win with Kyler Murray, and you come back home and you take on Green Bay. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Yeah, I think 12 o'clock works, Arizona time. So I'll be doing that moving forward, except for the bye week where I will be taking time off. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'll talk to you after the game, immediately following 15 minutes, instant reaction. And then following that will be our Cardinal Squad show with myself, Jamil Douglas, and Ben Garcia for a full hour. I'll talk to you then.